Imagine your computer is just completely overwhelmed. Like it has malware or too many heavy programs running, so it forcibly reboots into safe mode.
Right, it shuts off the internet and
Yeah, it disables the fancy graphics
yeah.
and just runs this restricted internal diagnostic loop just to survive. Now, apply that to the human brain. When extreme stress hits, your mind actually has its own version of safe mode.
I mean, it's a fascinating way to look at it.
It really is. So, okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to today's deep dive, where we're synthesizing sources from the Cleveland Clinic and some recent psychiatric research. We're looking at maladaptive daydreaming and cytosis.
And taking that safe mode analogy a step further, what if the brain gets stuck there? Like maladaptive daydreaming, which was formally identified back in 2002, isn't just, intense mind wandering.
It's not just daydreaming in class.
Exactly. It's a compulsive coping mechanism. The brain essentially runs this heavy internal simulation to escape severe anxiety or trauma.
It's almost like binge watching a customized mental Netflix show, right?
Yeah.
Like one that actively blocks out the real world.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
But I have a hard time drawing the line here, to be honest. I mean, a rich imagination is generally a sign of a healthy, creative mind.
Sure, definitely.
So at what exact neurological threshold does a complex daydream cross into an actual pathology, like an addiction?
Well, the threshold is really about executive control. In a healthy imagination, you choose to enter the daydream and you choose to exit.
Right, you can just snap out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in maladaptive daydreaming, that executive function fails. And the research actually highlights a massive overlap here with ADHD.
Oh, really? ADHD.
Yeah, because the brain is already struggling with self-regulation and emotional management, so it just can't break the fantasy loop.
It just keeps running.
Right. The internal simulation becomes so rewarding, so vivid with recurring characters and TV-like plots that the brain prioritizes it over real-world relationships and work.
So the internal world is basically hijacking the steering wheel.
Yeah, pretty much.
That makes me wonder about the extreme end of the spectrum. Because if maladaptive daydreaming is an internal escape, psychosis is what happens when that internal simulation completely overwrites external reality.
It's a total break.
Yeah, and looking at the psychiatric studies on relapse, I hit this terrifying irony, honestly.
You're talking about the data on psychosocial stress, I assume?
Yes. 10 out of 13 studies in the major review directly link stressors, like interpersonal conflicts or moving homes, directly to a psychotic relapse.
Which is a huge proportion.
It is. And instinctually, when humans face that kind of stress, we pull away, right? We isolate to protect ourselves.
It's a completely natural defense mechanism.
Right. Yet the research proves that social withdrawal actively triggers the relapse.
Well, that's because social withdrawal physically removes your external feedback loops. Like when you isolate, you are alone with an unregulated brain.
Just totally cut off.
Exactly. Without friends or colleagues or even just casual interactions to provide reality testing.
Reality testing, like bouncing ideas off people.
Yeah, those interactions subtly signal what is real and what isn't. So without them, the brain's internal misfires go completely unchecked.
Wow.
The protective instinct to hide actually becomes the exact mechanism that shatters reality.
So if the instinct to isolate is a trap, the only way out is forcing the brain to reconnect with those external feedback loops.
Biologically and psychologically, yes. The sources contrast things like resignation and withdrawal with active, positive coping mechanisms.
Like what, specifically?
Getting regular exercise or participating in social activities, they aren't just feel-good recommendations, They physically force the brain to engage with the external environment.
Right, it anchors you.
Exactly. It anchors the brain and dramatically lowers the relapse risk.
And obviously, rewiring a brain that's stuck in a compulsive fantasy or teetering on psychosis, that isn't a DIY weekend project.
Definitely not.
You can't just take a jog and cure a 6-hour daydreaming compulsion. It requires professional mental health care.
Therapy is vital here.
Yeah, therapies like CBT are crucial because they don't just treat the symptoms. They actively rebuild the cognitive scaffolding so you can actually interrupt those addiction-like loops.
And this really applies to how anyone handles pressure. When you hit your absolute limit at work or, in your personal life, you have to look at your immediate physical response.
Like, what's your default setting?
Right. Do you lean into your external anchors or do you quietly sever those feedback loops and retreat inward?
That exact mechanism is what I haven't been able to stop thinking about since we started prepping for this deep dive.
It's unsettling for sure.
It really is, because retreating into fantasy and withdrawing from society are known scientifically proven catalysts for severe mental health crises.
Yes, they absolutely are.
So considering the increasingly isolated, highly curated, screen-dependent nature of modern life,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
how much are we quietly weakening our collective psychological resilience? Like, are we designing a society that triggers our own worst coping mechanisms?
That is a huge question.
It's definitely something to ponder the next time you feel the urge to pull away.